Welcome to another episode of Prep Camp Diaries, where we peek behind the curtain and into the lives of amazing alumni of the West Coast Hockey Prep Camp doing cool things in the world. I'm Nate Leslie. I'm a certified executive coach, and I'm also the executive director of camp. Today, we have a really special guest who's leaving an indelible mark on the game, Coach Mike Sommer. There is someone listening today who has no idea they might end up in hockey. It's a full-time career, even when they least expect it, in somewhere they never expected being. Mike's journey through hockey's been as diverse as it has been inspiring. He's currently serving as the coach of New York in the PWHL, just finishing up the first season, the inaugural season of this incredible league. Mike brings a wealth of experience and leadership to the ice. Before the PWHL, he spent a significant amount of time at the University of British Columbia, almost 10 years. He won the Canada West Championship 4 times. He's been to the Nationals 4 times, has a silver and 2 bronze. I'm getting a little tired of pumping this guy's tires. Mike, welcome to Prep Camp Diaries.
Absolutely. Happy to be here. That's a nice intro there. Appreciate it.
I've worked pretty hard at it, and I had more nice things to say, but it was just so many accolades. It was getting a little old, so I just decided to stop.
Crazy.
Hey, let's. One of my favorite parts of this podcast is being able to go way back to the beginning of my journey with the guests, and so far those have been long journeys back. It's 2023. 2013. It's 2013. You're in Queenstown, New Zealand. You come home from work to a Skype message that your now wife, Kelty, says, Mike, you better read this. Tell us the story.
Just crazy going back in time here, and especially just seeing the title now on this podcast, being in the PWHL. And yeah, so back in 2013, I was in New Zealand. I'm sure we'll get to that, and spent a couple of years just on a whim. Thought hockey career was over. No, that wasn't much of a career to begin with, but was playing hockey, was living life. Somehow ended up in New Zealand, playing. Crazy circumstances, of a current coach quitting, the Minor Hockey Association needing somebody to step in to coach. And anyway, so I'm 2 years into kind of heading up the player development of this youth hockey program in Queenstown, New Zealand on the South Island. And having had met Nate and your brother Bo a year prior, where we had all these crazy small world hockey connections. This was on the heels of your second visit to Queenstown, where we had started to build a relationship and a friendship, and learned a lot through the station style coaching that you and your brother were really passionate about. And as a young coach, I had no real knowledge of this style or anything, and so just to learn at that stage again. And I'm sure we'll talk a lot about learning in this and opportunities to learn. Anyways, so we had gotten to know each other, and my time in New Zealand was coming to an end, and I was thinking, oh man, what am I gonna do for work? Where are we gonna live? My wife being from Prince Edward Island and me being from Vancouver, and get this message from you, and essentially a message that really set in motion my life that I know, and it's crazy to reflect. Probably a life-changing reach out. Asking if I would be interested in sort of joining Leslie Global Sports and the coaching team back in Vancouver as you were starting to build something. And early days of you being with the West Coast Prep Camp, so yeah, I like when you're looking at a road and there is no road, and then all of a sudden an opportunity, sort of comes, and you can see the road start to kind of lay right down in front of you there. And so one thing led to another, and yeah, crazy
here we are.
beginnings. And here we are. And that's oh man.
But think about this. So that's 2013. You land. We work together for a few months. You're at prep camp. One full year goes by, another prep camp. So your second year at prep camp. Not to forget the one when you were 17 years old in Comox.
Yeah.
Right? A long
Throwback.
time ago.
Crazy.
And then bam. Graham Thomas at UBC says, this guy's got a ton of potential. He's got his head on his shoulders and he loves this. And off you go to your first season at UBC. I really want to make sure we spend time on the PWHL. So for another episode, we talk about how you got to Queenstown, New Zealand from working at you had left the game after a very short junior B career, and you're working in a youth hostel in Sydney, Australia. That's how you get to New Zealand. And bam, now here you are sitting in Connecticut, as coach in the PWHL. So
crazy.
All of that U Sports experience under your belt. I was walking through Disneyland with my children a few months ago, and Mike says, Nate, I got news. I'm going to the show, baby. Tell us a little bit about now that, like, to land where you are right now and to be a part of this inaugural season, to survive some coaching changes already in a team that decided they needed to make some change. I mean, yeah, what's the PWHL like for Mike Sommer?
Well, yeah, just, I think it just starts with being grateful to be a part of this inaugural season and all that it was. And when in reflection, just where women's sports is at right now, and the viewership and the attendance, and so cool just to millions of views, whether it's nationally or through YouTube, and like just the little bits that you're picking.
People might not know that are listening. Tell us some of those highlights that some of us don't know, is how well it's being received.
Yeah, I don't have the stats in front of me, but millions of viewers through all their platforms, tuned in to watch games throughout the year, whether that's YouTube or, NHL Network or down in the States. And, it's down on like the MSG Network in New York, Valley Sports in Minnesota. Obviously the coverage up in Canada on TSN and RDS. So yeah, it's everywhere, and the attendance records, whether it was, American attendance records for women's hockey specifically, being broken in Minnesota for the home opener, and then I don't know if that record got beaten. It might have actually in Utica for the World Championships, but again, records being set and then broken, which felt like almost every 2 weeks there was a record being set, whether it was in Scotiabank Center in Toronto, and then at the Bell Center in Montreal.
And so it's even spilled over. You think records might have been broke. We tell all sorts of things we're not entirely certain of on this podcast. So look it up yourselves, listeners. But even that idea that perhaps attendance records were broken at an IIHF event. So it's impacting there. It's impacting millions of lives around the world, in particular North America. But that is something.
Yeah.
When you put your head on the pillow and you think about some of those things at night, Mike, like what?
Oh,
can you put
goodness. Yeah. And I think, what's not lost is like countless people, past and present, that have worked and sacrificed so much for this league to exist in the way that it does today. Of whether it's volunteers or athletes, I think that's definitely like a feeling that sort of permeates the league. Like everyone's enjoying, what this league became, in a really short sort of window, and the league talked about that, like, hey, it's we're doing this really quick because we need to, but it's not lost on us, like, the amount of other leagues that had to exist, the other players and founders that have sort of gotten us to here. So it's definitely just you're grateful to be a part of it. But and then when you start to think about just the, like, for myself and current day, and you've got athletes that can just focus on being a full-time athlete, and getting to prepare the right way, and getting to practice in the right facilities, and being travel, and all these things that these athletes are so deserving of. And we're just gonna the league was incredible and incredibly entertaining to follow and watch this year, and it's just going to keep getting better and better and better.
Yeah,
And so,
I want to jump in there, Mike, with a life lesson,
yeah,
because oftentimes people think they're starting over. Something doesn't work out and they say, well, that's over. A hockey career, for example. Now I got to start over. We never start over. We bring all of our past experiences with us into that moment. And some people might look at previous versions of this league, or there was, the league in the States and the league in Canada, might perceive those as failures, but you're acknowledging now, and everybody, I can tell, I can hear it in your voice, that all of that led to this. Is that right?
absolutely, yeah, yeah, and it's really cool, and you're just learning from obviously different experiences and perspectives. Is that's what you're sort of searching out in life, is to hear in different thoughts,
Yeah.
different ideas, and again, the talent of this league is just going to continue to just get better and better every year. We just had a really exciting draft last week, and you see the talent, coming in,
Congratulations
and
to inaugural guest Jen Gardner, episode 1, getting drafted by Montreal. Girls
incredible.
listening, you'll get to meet Jen, work with her at week 1 prep camp, and Mike Sommer coming to week 1 prep camp and week 2, making time for us. It's just,
Very
what a
cool.
time to be in the game.
Hmm.
Fantastic. So Mike, there's a college player like Jen listening to this episode, wondering, what does this league feel like after such a long time with so much success at U Sports at UBC, and seeing the game at its top university level for a decade? What do you see when you're on the ice and players are swirling around you now in practice, that a listener might be interested in, if you could compare?
Yeah. Well, I think just like any jump to the next level is the speed. The speed is definitely there,
Are they
and the
making you look
skill.
slow? Are they making you look slow? Is that what you're saying?
I've been a consistent demo speed for 10 years, so that's all good.
You're a
No,
great demo player. You're a great demo player.
hey, exactly. No pressure in a demo at 75%. I'm dialed in.
Yeah.
Um, uh, yeah, the speed is definitely there. The skill that everybody possesses, right? Like that's, and not to say, like, it's there at every level as you move through, but just some of the talent that you're on the ice with, on a daily basis, or you're preparing to play against.
Yeah.
It's the best of the best. Like
Yeah.
it's incredible. So and then you learn what makes those players the best, and whether it's their preparation, it's the consistency, it's their work ethic away from the rink. Like, it's all the little things. Like, everyone is at pretty like pretty consistent level, and then it's what separates, like,
Yeah.
within,
Yeah.
it's like those small little separators that
Yeah.
make the best the best.
I am not interested in, right now in this moment with you, a gender comparison. So this comparison I'm about to make is my own personal comparison. I absolutely love watching these games as someone who got to play pro hockey for almost a decade, and see goals and plays and think there is absolutely no way that I could do that 20 years ago when I was at the top of my game. I mean, the level of play, full stop, is just awesome. And just if you're a student of the game, the subtle plays that you see players making, it's just been an honor to watch. Mike, I want to ask about, you mentioned the word learning before. Let's get back to you for a couple of minutes, and then a few minutes about prep camp, and then some thoughts to send our listeners with. You, one of your core values is clearly learning. You soak up things as much as anybody um, that I've had the pleasure of working with in this game. What is it about being humble and assuming always that you have lots to learn that's important to you?
It's a great question. I think I think there's like no matter what room you're in, like there's somebody to learn from, and
Mm.
you know, like every opportunity presents, like every moment you're in coaching, presents an opportunity for you to take something away.
Mm.
Um, like, and I sort of reflect back on prep camp, as being like just such a rich like training ground for me and I'm sure countless others, um, to hone, to hone and refine their skills,
Yeah. Which can't come
like
without practice, right? I'm
right,
hearing
and
you're willing to take risks. You're willing to try stuff. Take
totally,
an
uh,
idea, hone
right.
it, practice it, try it, make it your own, share it, right?
Right, because I think like prep camp, for example, like is a place that I've been going to for years, and like with every year, you're going to learn from every session that you're a part of, whether you're leading it or you're assisting, and that's, I think, like back to your question about always being a learner, is like it's just taking every opportunity you have. It's saying
Yeah.
yes. It's sort of just jumping in with 2 feet, being open to it. And I've had such a crazy run of opportunity at prep camp, but it gave me at different stages of my coaching career, it gave me the hours or the reps that I
Yeah.
needed to like
Yeah.
to refine and learn or whatever. And I think it's the little details, um, that you're observing or you're building, and it's all there for you at prep camp, right? Like
Yeah.
like the little things about like punctuality. Just the little details, whether to become a professional or just, as you grow up, preparation,
Yeah.
timing,
Yeah.
uh,
It's like at
you
prep camp, no
know,
matter how you no matter how you come early, Mike Johnson beat you by 5 minutes. Barry Smith
right,
beat you by 20 minutes, right?
totally.
The professionals. I remember about you a moment in your first year of coaching at the Richmond Oval with me. I had drawn a drill in one practice and I'd made a mistake drawing it, but whatever, I just sort of covered up the mistake and kept drawing it. And then you ran the next practice. We were running the same thing and you drew it the exact same way that I did. And I certainly didn't need to, but it was just this moment where I thought, this guy is paying attention. He's switched on. I hope he's following the right leader. That's up to
Yeah.
you to figure out. But that you're always paying attention. And I know when another club is in a rink practicing, or your time volunteering with the Vancouver Canucks in the video coach room, um, you could have been at home with your family. Instead, you were volunteering your time.
Hmm.
If there's athletes listening, and I know there is right now, what's the shareable for a 13 to 18-year-old girl listening to this right now?
I think saying yes. I think saying yes. Maybe jumping in, even if you might not have the the all the requirements, and taking that risk. Um, figuring it out on the fly. Part of it is kind of faking it until you make it, and in just every stage of life, like always ask yourself, like, are you ready for this? Like, can I handle this? And then you finally either you get it or you get thrusted into it, and within a couple months you're like, oh, okay, I found a way. I found a way to get this done. So I think just saying yes if you're passionate about something, to figure it out on the fly, and then just to be a sponge. I think just taking it in. There's always something that you can be learning, whether it's observing, and maybe you're learning, you don't agree with that, or you're maybe that's
Also
not your
useful
style,
information. Also
right?
useful
It's
information. Yeah.
totally, and
Yeah.
and also, like, you know it allows you to, if you're always listening, you're always absorbing, it then allows you to at your own time sort of formulate your own thoughts,
Yeah.
style, and
That becomes your
sort of.
brand, right? That becomes your
Exactly.
brand. No, you learn what you absorb, you're a sponge, you get more, you learn new things, and you get committed on what you're also not. Both
Hmm.
useful. I want to leave the audience with a visual. My 9-year-old daughter, Dad, I could care less about hockey. Cool, Aiden. That's I love that. I love that. You're not pretending to like it because I like it. But it's January 1st, 2024, and Mike Sommer is on the bench for New York. His brother's wife, Blair Turnbull, is starting for Toronto. I'm on the couch at the cabin with my daughter, who doesn't like hockey, my son, who loves it, and Aiden looks at my wife and I, and we've got a tear in our eye watching that first puck being dropped. And she had 1,000 questions that day for us. She doesn't love it anymore, and that's also cool. But just we had a family moment watching that first game, and super proud of everything you've accomplished.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool to hear. I appreciate that. Yeah. Oh boy, it's the places we go, and where and to see where we all are, man. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty special moment, and one that that it's hard to pass up that January 1st game as the highlight from the year. A building that is absolutely rocking and shaking, and you know, um, I know I've got my, geez, I don't even know, 2.5 month old son up behind me in the stands with my wife, and
Yeah.
we got some family in town, and my brother's there, and I'm just trying to get through both anthems, and my sister-in-law's captain for the other team, and oh, it's really cool. But I appreciate you sharing
Yeah.
that story. That's
I
really
know
cool.
there were a lot of families doing the same thing around British Columbia. You're in Connecticut right now. You're on your way um, to Prince Edward Island and then making the 9,000-kilometer journey to join us and all of our listeners, week 1 and 2
Hmm.
at Prep Camp. Listeners, Mike's approachable. Come say hi. Tell him you heard the episode, and see what you can learn from him. Mike, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Nate. Appreciate it.